Whoa, 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 whoa. Easy, bro. You don't gotta kill no one.
Yeah? Who says?
What you want?
Just give me the lamb, punk.
Sure, bro. Yeah. Take it.
I have to drop something. Hold on.
Hello everyone, this is Bobbin Threadbare and welcome back to Deus Ex. Now, before we continue, I've got a couple of things I just wanted to show off here. It's not far. Alright, so I remembered I had this vial of Zyme thanks to one of those rooks from upstairs, so I figured I'll just show off what that's like. Zoom in, swirl around, black gunk all over everything. By the way, this is exactly what you'd see if you were intoxicated with alcohol as well. There's only one sort of intoxication effect, and this is about what you'd get if you drank 5 40s at once. Also, JC Denton's jump animation is kind of hilarious, and I wanted to show that off. And something else is just that if you grab something at foot height, you can actually watch him duck down to grab whatever it is. Which is actually pretty neat, because, you know, they didn't have to do that. Oh, and one other thing is that if you look at this broken mirror here very carefully, you'll notice that you can actually see yourself in the broken and missing part of the mirror. Interesting. Well, that's that. Oh, and by the way, just wanted to mention that I've been thoroughly schooled in the fact that earthquakes can and have occurred in New York City. So it's something called mid-plate quakes. So right here we've got a whole bunch of families, just like they said before. So you really do have to watch your shots. You've got all of these NSF walking around here. And it is in fact possible to murder children, accidentally or on purpose, so you really do need to watch your aim if you don't want to do that. Like all those people behind the NSF guy there. Honestly, I should have waited for the shot to clear, but I was getting impatient. Luckily, in general, the NSF run in the opposite direction as everybody else, i.e. towards the shooting instead of away from. So that about covered it, though. Now, as I recall, there's usually an NSF guy over here by the pillars. He usually doesn't come out until I actually walk over this way. Oh, wait, yeah, there he is. Didn't walk over even after I was out here. And that takes care of that. Surprising number of cats and rats out here. Well, the rats aren't that surprising, but I suppose it's an interesting note that the cats were apparently brought in by the mole people to take care of the rat problem. There's another guy who's off and over here.
Who's there?
Yep.
I think the law's on us. I got this one.
Fortunately, he's covered by that civilian. Luckily, the civilian ran for it. Because in this game, there's no such thing as grabbing someone else and using them as a human shield. Well, I am a little curious what the hell was going on with this. Kind of animal sacrifice or preparing dinner or something? I don't know. Maybe we can ask him.
Take it easy, I'm on your side. They made me do work for them. I used to handle records at a shipyard, so they had me break into the inventory systems. I was able to locate shipments of ambrosia.
Oh, that explains it.
I guess it's not so bad if they managed to help some of the sick people. If you're looking for the leader, he's in a secret room next to the storage area beside us.
Well, beside where we'd normally find him, anyway.
I tried to get away this morning, but I got caught. Then they shot my cat.
Guess that explains that, too.
Like I said, I was just a prisoner. They didn't tell me much. Like I said, I was just a prisoner. They didn't tell me much.
There are a couple guys around here with unique dialogue. This guy here by the well is one of them.
Looks like you've been overrun by NSF.
They move supplies through here. There's nothing we can do about it.
Anything recently?
A bunch of barrels came through about an hour ago. Woke us all up.
Where were they headed?
They went through the bathroom like they always do. Only way to get a key is from the NSF commander. Guy lives to the south. But I bet he'd die first.
Some of the terrorists actually live down here?
It's a secret room. You open the door by pushing a brick. They keep hidden behind some cardboard boxes.
I'll have a talk with them. You won't have to worry about the NSF for much longer.
The terrorist leader's command post is on this side of the tunnel to the south. If you're looking for the airfield, you're going to want to go to the north end of the chamber. They've built a secret passageway in the men's bathroom. I didn't want to fight, but I guess it turned out for the best. You'd think the revolutionaries would have more respect for the people they're trying to fight for. I'm not against the NSF, but we got families down here. This isn't a barracks. I'm not against the NSF, but we got families down here. This isn't a barracks.
You know, that's actually kind of funny, but quartering troops in civilian homes is one of the specific reasons why the United States broke off from England. Because they kept doing that. So we actually put that in our Bill of Rights. Also, I believe this may be one of the only secret rooms that it is necessary to find in order to progress. You'll understand when you see the door.
I surrender.
The mole people say the ambrosia came through here an hour ago.
I'll cooperate. Relax. The key to the men's restroom is on the table.
This better not be a joke.
Hey, I'm just an accountant. I know the body armor looks threatening, but I'm part-time, like a reservist. I don't want any trouble. The key's on the corner of the table. I never wanted to see action. I know when to stand down. I never wanted to see action.
I suppose that's what happens when you're a militia. You get non-professionals in harm's way. What the hell he was looking at, though?
The key's on the corner of the table.
Is that connected to anything? Cameras? Cable? Satellite? Communications? Fun? Hard to say when all it is static right now. Anyhow, because the NSF commander has surrendered, the other NSF in this area are non-hostile.
You from the feds? We don't need any help. Hell, the NSF don't hurt anybody. This is our place. We can do what we want. The city condemned this part of the subway. This is free territory. The NSF have every right to stand up to the government. Somebody's gotta. Doesn't seem like much to ask from the city of New York. A damn hole in the ground. The city condemned this part of the subway. This is free.
You're the spy, huh? The metal guys knew you were coming. They have a plan. They're gonna kill you. They turned on hot steam in one tunnel and put laser traps in the other. The guards at the helicopter base are supposed to shoot you when you show up. You better go back. The guards at the helicopter base are supposed to shoot you when
You from the
show
feds?
up.
We don't need any help.
You're with the police? They just moved a bunch of barrels through here. You still have time to catch them. They think because they had guns we're afraid, but we're not. We've been waiting for the right chance to run these jerks out of town.
Apparently only the mole men actually like the NSF down here.
We've been waiting for the right chance to run these jerks out of town.
Mole women and the mole kids aren't too fond of them.
The panel's secured.
Good. The booby traps?
Installed. They really think he'll make it this far?
Paul said not to take any chances.
Well, I guess he would know.
Don't shoot!
I surrender!
You know, it's actually hard to hear this conversation unless you get to the commander first.
We got word. We're standing down.
We don't know anything.
We won't get in the way.
Easy, man.
We won't get in the way.
Doesn't seem like much to ask from the city of New York. A damn hole.
Hold fire! I surrender. Easy, man. I won't get in your way. You want this stinking rat hole? You got it.
Well, let's check the women's restroom here first, because conveniently enough, someone placed a general supply crate in front of the toilet.
Don't look at me. I just follow orders.
I'm sure you do, fella. So yeah, infinite. Like I said, that was like the one secret room in this entire game that you have to find in order to progress. So at least we're heading north at this point. That's one of the two directions you need to go in order to reach the airport from Manhattan.
These sewage tunnels look like they come out somewhere by the airfield. Be careful, though. The terrorists probably expect intruders.
Sure enough, this is the area the kid was talking about, with the two tunnels. One's full of turrets, you can see here. And on the other side, you've got deadly steam. Ooh, dangerous. So to combat these, we've got this door you can pick open, turn off the steam. And you've got this control panel you can bypass, turn off the lasers, or you could look into this little tube there, get an EMP grenade, and use that to take care of the lasers, at least long enough to travel through them and get across. Point of no return just there. But again, I believe if you find enough crates you can get back over. Not that you really need to. So you may notice by all of the turrets around here that there's a very good reason to avoid alerting that particular camera back there. Along with that guy, since he's got that alarm panel right next to him. But in exchange for killing him, we get the key to the door out of here. Otherwise it would have been 2 picks or 1 explosive. So for this next part, you've got these lasers here and turrets at the other end, and this end as well. You can bypass this one as well, of course, but there are a few other ways of handling things. For instance, you've got this grate here. Walk into it, and you can come out just over the water. Now the water's actually sort of a long way around, and you also need swimming to avoid damage down there, but it is a way around the lasers. Okay, good. Didn't know where I was for a second there. Anyhow, this TNT crate is, well, pretty obvious suggestion in itself. So we get up to a safe distance, set it off, no more lasers. Press this button next to where they were, and you can make the jump across. Of course you gotta be quick, because there's no way back. Like I said, there's a path down through the water to going forward, but there's absolutely no reason to go down there. There is nothing worth picking up. I think there's like a crowbar. And if you don't have a crowbar by now, you don't want one. But this here is where you'd come up by taking the underwater path. So this next area's got a couple bots in it. Thanks to the Gep Gum, I've got a pretty easy way of dealing with this problem. Didn't even need to waste time getting a tracking signal on that one. However, if you don't have enough explosives or feel like sneaking around them instead, you can actually use these holes in the wall here. See, this one connects to one just down the way here. nothing back here. Just a way to sneak around the two bots. Or at least drop aggro if they happen to, if it happens that they spotted you. The code, another multi-tool, but I am full up on multi-tools.
You're entering a Hella-based terminal below a private section of LaGuardia. Veer to the east. You should be able to take the elevator to ground level. If you hit trouble, double back across the platform. There's a sewer drain to the northwest which leads to a pond next to the airfield. We think we might know who's moving the shipment. More in a minute.
Gotta be real careful here in the helicopter base. Not only because there are a bunch of people around who might find you, but because there's this camera up here just above your head. Luckily you can bypass that pretty easily, and then back here, well, what do you know? I'm still full on multi-tools. Here comes the hard part.
Looks like you're on the right track. That's one of the 3 missing barrels of ambrosia. We'll be sending a team to recover it. See if you find the other 2.
Crap. Got him just in time. Yeah, so this is what I meant when I said, welcome to the hard part. There are a lot of NSF guys around here. They've got some overlapping patrol routes. So you're never quite safe until the place is completely cleaned out. And then they've got this lovely guy here, the men's room. Guess the guy upstairs must have heard that. There he is.
Keep looking.
You were going for the alarm, you son of a bitch. I don't think so. Anyway, getting the guy in the restroom here first is actually a pretty good idea. Because of that key he had, which opens the offices on the other side. There are also a bunch of people out there on the heliport itself. Gotta be careful about them. Hey, another multi-tool I don't need. I saw that one before. Let's see, that was E. Todd St. Mary. Alright. Okay, someone's not in. And oh, there's a code, 9905. That'll be showing up sometime later. It's actually a pretty important code, for that matter. Nothing really in here except for the biocell and the lockpick. Even the computer's empty. So I guess we'll check upstairs next. By the way, that code, that was not for the offices, I forgot. It's for the security room, which is up here on this side. This door, right here. Someone in here, of course. Like I said, there's basically someone everywhere, and
I'm gonna get this pig.
if you're wondering, there's a guy up on the roof who must have heard that terrorist go off. Alright, looks like they're taking a pretty traditional approach here. One by sea, one by land, and then one by air. The one we found is obviously for the air. Looks like we opened a secret passage. Neat. But speaking of secret passages, there's one here as well. Very valuable, too. Got some very nice stuff in here. Specifically an upgrade canister and a weapon upgrade. I'm not going to use those gas grenades anymore. Range. Sniper rifle doesn't need better range, but the stealth pistol could use some. As for the upgrade, well, that's easy. Super speed. Super speed is A-OK by me. So this is not a security room so much as roof access, but for some reason it uses the same key. Well, whatever. It's convenient. That was the guy on the roof. There's not many other people this high up, but there is one in particular that we definitely need to watch out for. Because that guy at the other end there happens to have a sniper rifle. Although, now that I think about it, using a sniper rifle sounds like a pretty decent idea. Got a whole bunch of people I could reach from here. Plus, I'm so high up, they can hardly hear me. Well, and apparently they heard that guy die. It's gonna be hard to reach them if they're ducking underneath the helicopter pad. Luckily, there happen to be some explosive barrels nearby. With any luck, that's taking care of them. By the way, I've tried, but the helicopter is immune to all possible damage. You can throw as many explosives at it as you have in your inventory. You can line up all the barrels in the area, but nothing will happen to that helicopter. And it sounds like I missed one again. Wonder where he is. He's not down here on this side, but... Wait, there he is. He's at that alarm panel from earlier. For some damn reason, that particular door has impenetrable glass on it. Fine, I'll just open it. Works for me. But now I think I've gotten everybody. So it's time to do a little exploring. Slash picking up after all the bodies I've left behind. At least in cases where they did leave bodies. I don't know, I think one of the two guys were normally by that door over here. I think one of them got away, but the other one must have just blown up into pieces since he didn't leave a body behind. Well, that's what explosives do, so it's not surprising. Anyhow, there's nothing and no one up here, exactly. But there is a good reason to come up here. And for this, we'll turn on super speed, since it also improves the amount of jump height you can get before taking damage. Oh. And that can be kind of important for a fall like this. And I don't need to tell you that getting some rockets is definitely worth the trip down. So this is upstairs on the other side. That camera back there, and that's the reason I didn't come up immediately. It's guarding the ATM, I suppose. Oh, good. The seasonal flooding is minimal this year. Actually, a surprising number of readable materials in this room. A couple of new newspapers, and then a stack of 3 books, including excerpts that we have not yet seen. But enough of that. Let's take a look in this secret room over here. Good. Full up on lockpicks now, too. And I heard somebody running around. Don't think I didn't hear you. I guess he was severely injured because he was not running directly at me. I suppose those barrels didn't kill anyone after all. Either way, now, that has to be the last guy. Over here we've got a camera I turned off, and at the end of that hallway is an elevator up to the airport, which we are going to next. But I'm not taking that route. I'm taking the more interesting route, which is through the water here. This is actually basically a stealth route because it's, you know, it's easier to get to, fewer guards in the way. But there's also one major benefit to taking this long tunnel as opposed to the simple elevator into the next area. Interesting. Usually the metal crates float too. I guess those two big ones didn't. Trying to remember if there were anything in these little tubes up here, but I'm guessing not. Alright, it's a bit of a tricky jump, but, well, not that big of a jump. Now, actually, our reward for taking the route by sea, loading, is in this tube over here. A reload mod. Nice. On today's Conspiracy Corner, let's find out exactly why they're called the Mole People. Sorry. The book. Throughout the world, homeless individuals will take shelter in abandoned parts of the urban infrastructure. Nobody disputes this. Happens all the time. However, in 1993, a reporter named Jennifer Toth wrote a book entitled The Mole People: Life in the Tunnels Beneath New York City. The nonfiction book was an account of her trip through the abandoned subways and assorted tunnels of New York City, and a series of interviews with the homeless people who lived there. In some areas she found scattered groups just trying to survive, but then she claims that some communities of over 200 have collected in the best tunnels, far away from the clattering of the active rail lines and adjacent to steam pipes that allow for showers, and even ancient murals and fancy facilities from the earliest days of Grand Central Station. These groups have formed parallel societies to the one above the street, with elected mayors, groups of kids sent out to scavenge food for the whole community, and basically people making the best out of what they have. The account ends when Toth accidentally witnesses a paranoid schizophrenic murder someone, and she flees the city before he can catch up with her. I haven't had the opportunity to read The Mole People myself, but by all accounts it's well written, sympathetic towards its homeless subjects, evocative in its descriptions, and even disturbing at times. It's also, for the most part, a big pack of lies. See, the book eventually came to be noticed by an aficionado of New York City underground tunnels, Joseph Brennan. While he had nothing to say about the people Toth encountered, for obvious reasons, he did notice that virtually all her descriptions of locations underneath New York City were off, to one extent or another. The short version, as he puts it, is that every fact in this book that I can verify independently is wrong. Toth admits in the foreword to her book that she fictionalized certain accounts of individuals for their protection, which is fine. But she gave no such qualifiers regarding the public spaces of New York City, which, after all, don't need that sort of protection. In fact, more than just providing wrong directions, she provides wrong descriptions, such as repeatedly describing the tunnels beneath Grand Central as being a network of unfinished subway tracks 6 layers deep when they're really a very thoroughly documented 2, implying that most of the homeless have found abandoned tunnels far away enough from active lines to avoid getting bothered, even though the number of such tunnels not in use is very low. And all those beautiful frescoes and fine appointments don't exist. The subway in New York has always been kinda crap. Around 10 years after The Mole People was released, Cecil Adams, author of The Straight Dope, a column in the Chicago Reader, revisited the book, and beyond checking the article I mentioned already, Adams also got in touch with a woman named Cindy Fletcher, who lived in the tunnels herself back in the 90s, and who couldn't corroborate any of Toth's story or claims. In addition, when he asked Toth about her book's discrepancies, she claimed that she couldn't remember, despite saying in the book that she had been in some of these places daily over the course of several months. Based on where her descriptions were accurate and where they weren't, Brennan speculates that Toth's research amounted to a few visits to a tunnel beneath Riverside Park and the nearby Penn Station, along with a trip to the subway near Broadway Lafayette Street. The other tunnels she describes bear remarkable similarities to Riverside Park's tunnel, beyond what's simply unrecognizable. Her description of the plight of some of the homeless is realistic enough, but either she was extremely credible of the stories her contacts would feed her, or she took some amazing creative liberties of her own. Either way, despite being sold as a non-fiction work, the last word on The Mole People is caveat emptor. Fiction versus non-fiction. Now, Jennifer Toth may have spruced up her story a bit, or maybe a whole hell of a lot, but then it's a much more common practice than you'd think. In the grand history of literature, the line between fiction and non-fiction is both surprisingly thin and surprisingly recent. Not only were fables and myths presented as true even as they were invented, but for a very long time it was a tradition for the author of a fictional work to present his or her novel as being the account of a real person, and the real author as simply the editor or biographer for the novel's protagonist. This is certainly true about what's considered the first native English novel, Pamela, or Virtue Rewarded. The book was written by Samuel Richardson in 1740, and despite everyone understanding that Richardson wrote the thing, it still contains a preface in which he assures readers that the following text was written by Pamela herself. Oh, and P.S., don't read the book yourselves. It's an 18th century version of Twilight without the vampires, and no, I'm not kidding. Vaguely fictional accounts of places and events also has a long history. Thucydides is considered the father of modern historians because he independently researched his topic, the Peloponnesian War. He took no single person's account as absolute fact, and he refused to claim that the gods intervened at any point to make up for holes in his research. This is in contrast to his immediate predecessor, Herodotus, who covered the Greco-Persian Wars. Herodotus took witness accounts at face value, filled in gaps with his own imaginings, and declared divine intervention whenever his story needed a moral. In one work he claimed to travel to Egypt and journey up the Nile, but it's pretty clear when comparing his account to those actually found in Egypt at the time that whatever he didn't make up, he gathered from second-hand sources. Throughout the 17th and 18th centuries, Europeans created bestiaries of far-off animals based on vague second- or third-hand descriptions, which were nevertheless passed off as definitive. It's possible even Marco Polo didn't make the whole trip to China, but instead got to the Middle East and picked up the rest from Arabic and Mongol traders. He describes a lot of things using the Arabic names instead of the Chinese. But then it's possible he simply preferred the Arabic names, plus there's a lot of wiggle room in general, since he dictated his travels while in prison years after his trip, however long it was took place. The point is, authors doing stuff like James Frey changing his girlfriend's method of suicide in A Million Little Pieces, or Greg Mortensen lying about being captured by the Taliban when he visited Afghanistan in the 90s. Stuff like that, lying for the sake of a story, has a much longer and richer tradition than telling the bare and simple truth. So go easy on Jennifer Toff. She may be lying to make herself and her story sound better, but we're all liars at heart. Personal thoughts. It sucks to be homeless. It sucks even worse to be homeless, jobless, and without any friends or family able to put you up until you can get back on your feet. I recall hearing a story on NPR a few years back in which they interviewed a few people at a homeless shelter. One thing that really stuck with me is how everyone they interviewed, every last one, said the same thing. Well, I'm doing my best to get a job and get out of here, but these other people are just leeches. They just take their handouts and do nothing. It wasn't personal. It wasn't political. It was universal. That's what struck me. They were all looking for a way out. They were all sure they could make it eventually, but when they looked around, they saw a bunch of pathetic, hopeless people. And that's why I think Toth's account about societies and democracies underground in New York is fictional. Because to build a life for yourself underground requires giving up hope of ever making it back up to the surface. And after all, when you're down to nothing, hope is all you've got left. And you wouldn't give that up for anything. Thanks for joining me again in Conspiracy Corner, and I hope I'll see you soon.